Not acquiring pitching help at the trade deadline was the Boston Red Sox biggest blunder of the 2023 season, as yet another starter failed to go deep into the game in Boston's 8-6 loss versus the Tampa Bay Rays on Tuesday.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Red Sox, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast, here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox for free, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Red Sox. I appreciate you making it the first listen of every day. Oh my gosh. Talk about frustration beyond frustration. Tuesday night's Red Sox game against the Rays encompassed everything that the Red Sox have done wrong all season long. Miscues defensively, a starting pitcher not going deep into the game, stranding base runners, just everything that the Red Sox have failed to deliver on multiple occasions this season went wrong in Tuesday night's game. I mean, I'll start with the starting pitching. The Red Sox not acquiring starting pitching help at the trade deadline was the biggest blunder of this season. I'm going to be going into detail on why that is on today's episode, as well as going over everything that really went wrong in Tuesday night's game, what could have been prevented and was avoidable, and also giving an update on Corey Kluber. Cutter Crawford made the start, though, for the Red Sox on Tuesday night and was not able to make the most of the start. He only was able to pitch 3.2 innings and gave up 5 earned runs. I mean, can we at least have decent starts here, people, from the starting pitching? This is why it was a huge blunder for the Red Sox to not acquire starting pitching help at the trade deadline, because this has been a recurring theme that the Red Sox starters have not been able to go deep into games. They've been averaging about 4 innings per start as a squad this season, and that's just not acceptable because it is forcing the bullpen to be overworked. And the Red Sox bullpen on Tuesday night was able to hold down the fort. I mean, Joe Jakes was scaring me when he came in the 4th inning to take over for Cutter Crawford. He hit 2 batters in a row, so he had no command of the plate in that inning, managed to get out of it, and then pitched the 5th inning cleanly. And then Winkowski, Bernardino, and Martin all looked good as always. Those 3 are an absolute saving grace to this Red Sox pitching staff. But Cutter Crawford has not been able to go deep into games for the most part this season, and I was hoping to see him be able to be pushed. And when he pitches into the 6th inning, I see that as a big accomplishment for him, because he's typically not able or used to going that deep into games. So when he does, I just see it as, progress for him. But the fact that Cora had to pull him after just 3 2/3 on Tuesday night is not ideal for the rest of this Red Sox pitching staff. And again, you can blame Alex Cora all you want for the bullpen usage and who's pitching when, but the reality of the situation is the Red Sox should have gotten starting pitching help at the trade deadline. and they did not. And not that acquiring a starting pitcher would have helped with the longevity of the current starters that they have, because you can't control everybody else. But what another starting pitcher would have done is hopefully given more innings in a start if they had acquired a reliable starting pitcher that has a proven track record to be able to pitch 6 or 7 innings relatively consistently. It would have been a huge step for the Red Sox, because then every 5 days you have a starter going who is going to eat innings, is going to be able to pitch deeper into games and not force Cora to have to go to the bullpen as early on in the game. I had high hopes for Cutter Crawford going into his start on Tuesday, and then things just went south for him quickly. He just really struggled, and Cora made the right decision when he pulled him, because it was just completely, totally clear that he didn't have it. And I'm just disappointed in the fact that the Red Sox have had to deal with this so often this season, where there's high hopes for a starter going into a game and we really need them to eat up innings, and they're just not able to do that. It was an absolute mess in the bottom of the 4th inning for Crawford on Tuesday. Started with a ground rule double to start the inning, and then he gave up 2 walks after that. So then he was pulled, and then Joe Jakes came in and hit 2 batters to score 2 runs before getting out of the inning. Those runs were all obviously charged to Cutter Crawford, but it's the principle of it that if you're a starter in Major League Baseball, you should be able to go 6 to 7 innings. And 7 is stretching it a little bit. A lot of it's the elite starters can average about 7 innings. But if you're just a simple, Major League Baseball starter, you should be able to go 6 innings in a game, and it shouldn't be a consistent problem. And the fact that this entire Red Sox starting rotation has that problem just shows what one of the biggest mistakes for the Red Sox was at the trade deadline, which was failing to acquire a solid starting pitcher that can eat up innings and at least just give length. I mean, at this point, I'm not asking for um, high quality performances every single time from the starters, because it's clear that we're not going to get that. But it becomes taxing on everybody else when that does need to happen and the starter is not going deep into the games. And the bullpen has to be used more. So just an absolute failure by Chaim Bloom not to acquire starting pitching help at the deadline, especially with how close the Red Sox were to the wild card at that time, at the trade deadline, and just have not been that close since then. So it's such a disappointment. Cutter Crawford not being able to finish the 4th inning was the first thing that really went wrong for Boston in the game. But coming up, I'm going to address some more things that just didn't go the Red Sox way as they fell in game 2 to the Tampa Bay Rays. Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales, and we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. This is linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. Trust me, I used to work in sales and I remember it just being incredibly difficult. So any resource that you could use, I highly recommend using it. What went wrong for the Boston Red Sox in Tuesday night's loss against the Tampa Bay Rays? I mean, lots of things, but something that really stands out, which is something I've been preaching on the show the last couple days, is having to use Kenley Jansen for the third straight day. I did not have a good feeling about it. The Red Sox were up 6-5 going into the bottom of the 11th inning, and Kenley came in to close out the game. And normally, Kenley is the go-to guy in that type of situation, but he pitched in non-save situations the last 2 days. He came in a 7-1 game against the Royals on Sunday and pitched and gave up a couple runs then. So that was day number 1. No save situation. Came in on Monday night against the Rays. No save situation because the Red Sox were up 7-3. Did not give up any runs in that outing and actually looked good. But again, that's day 2 in a row. When Kenley is where he's at in his career now, and he hasn't proven continued success when pitching multiple nights in a row, it should not have happened now. I said it already and I'll say it again. He should not have pitched in that game against the Royals, and he really also shouldn't have pitched in Monday night's game against the Rays. I understand you need your relievers to get reps in, but that is just leaving for very little room for error. And I think Cora really tried because he was putting Schreiber in there, had him in there for the 9th and the 10th innings, and was really holding out hope that the Red Sox would take a lead that they wouldn't relinquish and he wouldn't have to put Jansen in. It seemed like Cora was really, really willing to take that risk with Schreiber and was really trying to push him through. But then it got to that bottom of the 11th inning and the Red Sox had taken a lead. So it's natural to use your closer. But I'm disappointed in the fact that Kenley had to be used the last couple nights prior to this. He shouldn't have had to be, and that all roots back to the starting pitching problem again. But Kenley Jansen pitching on the third straight day was one of the biggest things to me that went wrong in this game against the Rays for the Red Sox. Like I said, Cora's in a tough spot here with this bullpen, but I just wish that things could be a little bit different and the bullpen didn't have to be used as often as they are because the starters could be more competent and be able to get through innings more easily and provide the longevity that they're supposed to be providing as starters. But the Red Sox, again, chose to leave a lot of runners on base. 10 runners left on base on Tuesday night. They went 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. And in the 6th inning, they literally had the bases loaded. They were down 5-2 going into the 6th inning, and then Rafaela singled. He had 3 hits in the game, by the way, which is a positive to take away from this performance here, is the kid showing that he can hit. So that's really positive for the Red Sox future. But so he singled in the top of the 6th, and then Devers doubled after that. And then Turner hit an infield single, and then there was a throwing error getting to first base, so it scored Rafaela to make it 5-3, which was nice. But then Casas walked. So the bases were loaded for the Red Sox, and it was a golden opportunity for them to add more runs in and tie the game. But then 2 straight hitters, 2 straight batters, Adam Duvall and Masataka Yoshida, strikeout looking for both of them. Duvall got an absolute meatball right down the middle of the plate that he should have absolutely crushed 400 feet. But instead, it appeared like he was looking for something else, presumably a slider. So the fastball down the middle just completely froze him, and he had no idea what was coming. Yoshida got a pitch that was slightly outside, but barely hit the corner of the strike zone. It was a great pitch, and Yoshida just should have at least swung at it because it was too borderline of a pitch to rely on the ump to say, hey, that's a ball. Because when showing the replay, it showed that it hit the corner. So he should have at least tried to swing at that pitch to, try to foul it off and get another pitch. Obviously, the worst thing that happens is he swings and misses. But I would have respected that a lot more than if he didn't just watch that pitch, because it was a borderline pitch. He should have been able to recognize that and should have chosen to make the effort, because if he fouls it off and buys himself another pitch, it just makes for a more competitive at bat. So those were two very disappointing at bats that the Red Sox had in the game, and they cannot be stranding base runners constantly. That just cannot happen. It's been an issue for the Red Sox quite often this season, and there have been very few times where they've had the bases loaded and been able to get a big hit to drive in runs. That's what really irks me about this team. They will have the bases loaded on so many occurrences, and whoever comes to the plate just can't get the job done. You cannot, absolutely cannot have the bases loaded with no outs and not be able to score. I mean, Refsnyder came in that inning to pinch hit because Poke, who was pitching for the Rays, is a lefty. So Cora, brought Refsnyder in. And naturally, Kevin Cash pulled his pitcher because he's a smart manager. And he brought in a righty, Kenley, to go against Refsnyder. And Cora had to decide matchup wise if he's willing to take that risk and have Refsnyder go against a righty. That's what he chose. Fly out to center. Inning over. Absolute wasted opportunity for the Red Sox there in the 6th inning. They were able to make up for it later on because there were a couple fielding blunders that the Rays faced. And basically they were handing the Red Sox the game and like giving them the opportunities to score later on. They basically set up the Red Sox to score in the top of the 7th inning. Essentially there was basically a fielder's choice play, and Valdez was safe at second on a fielding error. They set it up, and the Red Sox were able to tie the game at 5. And the Rays had some plays in the field that they mishandled altogether. Urias with just a little blooper in between right field and first base. And neither Rays fielder could make the play on it. So the Red Sox got lucky there. There was another play at third base that was bobbled by the Rays infielder. So the Red Sox got lucky once again. So there were little mistakes that the Rays were making, and they were handing the Red Sox the game, but Boston couldn't come through. And it really ultimately comes down to Kenley Jansen having to be used for the 3rd straight night and the offense failing to deliver and score runs when they had runners on base. They had the opportunities. The Rays were literally handing them that game. Especially in the last few innings, the Rays could not have done any better of handing that game to Boston, and the Red Sox still lost it. And it goes without said again, but just more fielding errors by the Red Sox just consistently happens. I don't trust them as a fielding team, especially in the infield. Yoshida made a couple nice plays in the outfield defensively. I will give him that. But overall as a team, their defense this season has been completely subpar. So when you have a game where the other team basically hands it to you and the team that's in the 3rd wild card spot loses their game and you have the chance to gain ground and can't, it hurts. It's very, very frustrating, and I was incredibly angry. I saw that Brandon Lowe home run in the bottom of the 11th inning off of Kenley Jansen coming a mile away. That guy crushes the Red Sox, and it just wasn't meant to be on Tuesday, but make it meant to be tonight and win the series. Coming up, I'm going to be giving an update on Corey Kluber. He did receive an update on Tuesday about, a potential return. So coming up next, I'm going to be giving an update on that. Sports betting is so fun. Honestly, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I hope you do too. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get 200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit fanduel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. You heard it there. FanDuel is the best sports betting app out there. It's personally my favorite because there are so many different options and so many things you can bet on. So make it fun, especially as we head into the fall with football season and with MLB playoffs. Might as well try to win some money while enjoying the games, right? Corey Kluber, what a guy, what a character. Red Sox decided to sign him, and I knew it was going to be a disaster. I felt it early on in the season, and even before the season started, I did not have a good feeling about him being here, but the Red Sox chose to sign him anyway, and it's been a rough season for him. He was the Red Sox opening day starter, had an ERA over 6 as a starter. So then they demoted him to the bullpen, but even out of the pen, he was still an actual disaster, for lack of a better word. There is none. A disaster. So then he was placed on the IL in June due to his shoulder. And it turns out it was a pretty serious injury. So, he kept trying to get back. And then he basically got shut down after making some rehab assignments in the minors, and basically had to just rest again for a bit. So now he's trying to get back. He's scheduled to make a rehab assignment on Friday of this week, and his goal is to really return to the Red Sox as soon as possible. He wants to make an appearance at some point this month for Boston before the regular season is over. On Tuesday afternoon, he threw 2 innings of live batting practice, which is a good step in the right direction for him, but he just has not been able to get to the point where he could return. So the Red Sox are now saying they have to play it by ear and see how everything goes with him. But the fact that he's starting a rehab assignment on Friday, if things go well, then he should be able to resume play with the Red Sox sooner rather than later. Is that a positive or a negative for this team? It really poses the question, right? I mean, he was just an absolute mess, both as a starter and out of the pen. So I feel like it will deter the Red Sox pitching staff more having him come back than it has been without him. There's not a single thing I miss about Corey Kluber pitching on this Red Sox team. I have actually been relieved that we haven't had to see any appearances from him as of late. And it's really not even about the fact that he's pitched so poorly, but also the fact that the guy just clearly is not healthy. And it's just crazy to me that the Red Sox truly thought that they could get a starter that could be reliable this season in him. I knew it from the get-go. Whether he returns this month or not, I don't think it makes any sort of difference for the Red Sox pitching staff. I don't think he'd be able to contribute in a positive way, even if he does come back. The only thing simply is that it would just be another body out of the bullpen, who is a veteran pitcher and has bounced around a lot. And that's really about it. The Red Sox are in a situation now where they need people to come through and eat up innings. Today, Pivetta is supposed to be starting against the Rays. They're going to need a huge outing from him, eating up a bunch of innings. And, the bullpen, who for the most part have been doing their job, is going to have to step up as well, even more so. And it's going to be absolutely crucial that Pivetta can get semi-long starts tonight so that the bullpen can rest a little bit more. I'm literally just looking at Kluber at this point as another body. There is nothing I see him doing to come back here that will contribute positively to this Red Sox team. So, either way, he likely will see some time this month. You never know, really, since again, he's been in this situation before and was shut down. But rehab assignment scheduled for Friday, and he's ready to come back. I admire his drive and motivation to want to come back and contribute, but I doubt I'm alone when I say I have not missed him at all, and I would not lose any sleep if he doesn't come back. Obviously, you don't ever want to see injuries, and I would never hope a player gets injured. But in this case, like, I'd be happy if he was healthy but didn't pitch, because it's just not working, and I just don't want to see him pitch here anymore ever. So we'll see what happens with him. He sounds like he's being positive about the situation and hopeful that he can come back and try to contribute in a positive way to this Red Sox team down the stretch. Keep the faith as always. I know I sound like a broken record when I continue to say that line, but you have to keep the faith because, again, we are Red Sox Nation, and there is no more powerful fan base in sports than Boston fans. So we have to unite, rally with this team towards the end, no matter what happens in this last month. Just try to enjoy being able to watch Red Sox baseball before it becomes the off season and you miss it again and are ready to have it back. So keep the faith. As always, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.